and welcome to 5 ridiculously simple ways to get more publicity for you and your business. Today we're going to focus on 5 highly effective ways to get press coverage for you and your business. And as with any strategy, success is going to depend on how well you actively put these methods to use. Fortunately, there is no big learning curve involved, and each action we're going to explore is easy to implement. So grab a notepad and a pen, a hot coffee or tea, and while you're at it, get comfortable. And let's begin. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Anna Banks of annabanks.com, and I am a trainer, speaker, and a small business coach. And I've discovered over my 20 years in business that I, as well as clients and colleagues, are always trying to find simple ways to increase visibility and value in our local area. So today, I'm going to talk about 5 simple ways to get more publicity in your local marketplace that you can begin using today. Now, I hope that you will find this information helpful as you implement your own publicity and business marketing strategies. So let's get started with step 1. Who do you know? Now, the easiest place to start is right among the people that you already know. And don't tell me you don't know anyone. As a speaker, trainer, coach, business owner, you know tons of people. But I don't want you to rack your brain. We're going to make a list. And we're going to make a list by asking these questions. So who are the top 10 niche influencers? Who are the big players in your marketplace or in your niche? Who do you know on social media? Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Which business or niche related Facebook group or LinkedIn groups are you a member of? Which forums do you regularly make an appearance in? Which bloggers do you already have a relationship with? Whose products have you bought? What membership sites or continuity training, ongoing training site do you belong to? Alrighty, now that you have that list, I want you to highlight the people that belong to the press, have their own blog, have their own radio show, have a visible relationship themselves with members of the press. And then what you're going to do is you're going to start to reach out to them. How do you do that? We're going to take the contacting of these people to the next level by using Twitter.com. On Twitter, you're going to retweet their key tweets. You're going to respond to questions and requests. And you're going to give them some real tips from your subject matter expert perspective. It's all a part of building the relationship with the press. The funny thing is, the press is really a person. It's a person, a journalist, a reporter that you get to connect with. So let's look at step 2. Step 2 is making use of agencies and organizations. Now, you can do this by joining or following local business organizations and press-related online agencies such as HARO or Help a Reporter Out. I've listed on the screen their website is www.helpareporter.com. Now, helpareporter.com is a very valuable opportunity resource for a trainer, a business owner, a speaker, or a coach. And why is that? It's because as a small business owner, trainer, coach, or speaker, you can actually sign up for free to this subscription-based website. And in doing so, you will receive 3 emails a day detailing interview requests from journalists and news agencies looking for sources. Yes, that's right. They're looking for sources, experts, coaches, trainers, speakers that have expertise that they can use. Now, the downside of HARO is that they're usually looking for high-income companies and those that have what they call high Alexa ratings. But the plus side is if your business is unique enough or you make your hook unique enough, or if you're serving a really small niche or a specific business, reporters and journalists can be very desperate to find business owners, coaches, speakers, and trainers like you with that particular expertise. But HARO isn't the only fish in the sea, as they say. You can also look at some online agencies such as PR Web. That's prweb.com. And what do you do with them? What you want to do is to make good use of these agencies. You want to develop a Excel spreadsheet or a Word document. And you want to also include individual reporters at your local level. You want to include their contact details and, most important, their individual preferences in the database that you're building. Now, you might think that as you're doing your interviews, it might be easy for you to remember, but you want to also log in any interviews, any contacts, any quotes that they make about you or from your information. You want to log all of these things in. Now, hiring a press agency or publicity company is usually not very practical, even though a lot of people are actually promoting that. But it's usually not very practical for small businesses or online solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, your coaches, trainers, and speakers, because the fees usually start in the thousands. However, if you're not interested in doing your own publicity work, what you can do is you can also reach out and find a virtual assistant who specializes in PR. This can be a very, very effective option for you. And I don't want you to forget that you can also contact localcelebritymaker.com, shameless plug. But just be sure that you get in writing what's covered and what's not covered. That's going to be very important. So let's look at step 3. Step 3 is make a plan. There's an old saying that says people don't plan to fail, they just fail to plan. And nothing can be more true than in developing strategies to get more press coverage for you and your business. So one thing should be obvious by now, that even though we've just started talking about this, you can see that to get press coverage may require that you have to gather together a lot of information yourself. And there may be a multitude of people to follow and agencies to try and so forth. So the better organized you are in handling these things, the better you will be able to use them in a targeted, specific way to help you to get more publicity for your business. I kind of look at it like cooking. If you were a caterer, you wouldn't be running around buying your ingredients every 5 minutes. Now, would you? You'd sit down and you'd plan your menu first. You decide what garnish went with what dish, what wine, what hors d'oeuvres, and desserts went or complemented your entree. You'd factor in your prep time and your cooking time, and you decide how many people you were going to need to serve this grand dinner party. You'd also keep in mind the preferences of your client and her guests. Well, it's the same with a press campaign. And I'm using the word campaign for a specific reason, because it's something that's going to be ongoing. So it works best if you know all the players, how each player operates, what their strengths and preferences are, how you reach them, how do they want to be reached, how long you need to give them so that they can include your event in their upcoming features, and who is best for what type of coverage. So all that you get with planning and strategizing, you and keeping files and databases, you get the ability to connect with your journalists, bloggers, and people of the press at the time that you need them. So how do we take this to the next level? You need to invest in some research. Take the time to really find out about the people and the organizations in your database and how they work. Then you want to make sure that you refine your fields and keep a calendar. Refining your fields, you want to make sure that you have a field that you can just maintain additional notes. Now you may feel that this is like, oh, this is too much. However, if you are diligent in taking these initial steps, you'll get into a stride and you'll start to feel the pulse of more business, more press opportunities than you've ever imagined. And I'd like for you to think about this in the area of five key areas. In making your plan, you want to look at your agencies, your local coverage opportunities, the niche journalists that are in your subject matter, that are in your subject or specialize in your topic. You want to look at sites that you can watch and unusual or one-of-a-kind publicity sources. You want to also get into a rhythm and a routine and keep good notes and records. Because this is how journalists themselves dig up trending, fascinating stories at the drop of the hat. As you are building your own database and making your plan on how you contact them, you'll be reverse engineering the whole thing. You're going to wind up digging up the journalists that you need to publicize, promote, and get you the press coverage that you need at the drop of the hat. And you and your business are going to be the story that each one on your list is going to jump at, particularly if you keep in touch with your journalists, keep your information updated with agencies, give them tips on other people in their coverage area that they may want to interview, or give them tips on upcoming events. So let's look at step 4. Now, step 4 is to send out press releases. Now, this happens to be my very favorite part. Send out press releases. This press release is the old publicity standby. But in order to use it effectively, you need to understand what press releases are and what they're not. A press release is not an advertisement for your business. A press release is, above all, a reporter's shortcut. That's what he or she looks through when he or she is trying to find a story that will please her agency, newspaper, magazine, or the publication's readers. So keep this in mind. Put yourself in a reporter's shoes, and you'll always know how to use your press release. A press release also consists of some bare bones information that your journalist, blogger, organization, news organization, or agency is going to need to know. We call it in Journalism 101 the 5 W's and H. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. Press releases have a very traditional format. However, today, a lot of them have changed somewhat. So be sure to check the press release guidelines before you send your press release out. When you are sending out your press release, let's look at 7 specific best practices. The first is to keep your headline under 140 characters. 140 characters. Doesn't that sound somewhat familiar? Yes, you're right. 140 characters makes your headline retweetable and seen in its entirety on Twitter. And nowadays, it's perfectly acceptable to include press release links on your social media pages too. Number 2 is to weed your words. What do I mean by that? That means that adjectives and adverbs simply have no place in newspaper writing or journalism. The same thing goes for unnecessary words or phrases. So make sure that you go over your headline and your press release and strip those things out. The third thing is to create an angle. How do you create the angle? You create an angle by speaking directly to the intended reader. News stories always focus on a single point. So even if your press release is detailing something as straightforward as an event, your event, try to come up with an angle that catches people's attention. The next best practice is to use SEO. SEO is knowing that it's using powerful keywords or keyword phrases. Whenever you are writing your press release or the headline for your press release, make sure that you use powerful keywords or keyword phrases in the headline as well as in the body copy. Our fifth best practice is to use 2 quotes. Include 2 quotes in each one of the press releases that you send out, because it's still preferred by not only your agencies but also your various publications. You want to include a quote from an interested person, like a customer or a niche enthusiast, about the press release topic. And then you also want to include a quote from yourself as the business owner, coach, trainer, speaker, but it needs to be written in the third person. Specific best practice number 7 is to embed a video or upload a photo. Now, some sites not only allow this, they love it. So make sure that you have a photo or a video that you can upload if it is allowed. Make sure though that it conforms to the publication size and format guidelines. And most of all, that it's top quality. Now today, top quality videos and photographs can be made very, very simply and easily with your iPad, your smartphone, your iPhone. So don't let not having video equipment stop you from including a video or a photograph with your press releases. And last but certainly not least is make sure that you know your audience, the audience that you are writing the press release for. You can write the best press release in the world, but if you are writing for a publication that doesn't include your audience, it not only won't be read, it won't be published. Now, if you're really not into writing press releases, again, you may want to think about hiring an assistant who is passionate about them, or you can get a top-notch VA to do your press releases for you. I just want to encourage you, though, to get into the habit of sending press releases regularly to the same reporter and publication. Now, don't inundate them with news on every little thing that you and your company are doing, but make sure they quickly get to know that they can count on you for solid, reader-pleasing news on your specific topic or subject. Building a relationship with these journalists is definitely a goal that you want to focus on in order to get more publicity and more press coverage for you and your business. And you'll do it by making their jobs easy for them and pleasing for their readers. Let's move on to step 5. Step 5 is to be available for interviews. Step 5 is our last step, but it's still a very, very important step. It's one of the easiest and most effective strategies that you can use to let interested parties know that you are available as a guest. You want to reach out to talk show hosts and podcasters because why? They are always looking for relevant, interesting guests to talk on topics related to their main focus. So just keep in mind that if you want to be interviewed, reach out to them and let them know. Again, that's going to cost you a little research time to locate those radio show hosts and podcasters. However, you can go to this particular website, which is radioguestlist.com. You can land talk show or podcast guests via HARO. And as I just mentioned, you can find almost any type of guest spot in minutes by looking through the posts at radioguestlist.com. Now be sure to factor guest interviews into your publicity and press coverage at the planning stage at your planning stage. You want to also contact industry-focused stations and podcasters for a list of upcoming topics. I know when I am planning for my radio show, Living Fully After 40 Radio, I always put out a list of the topics that I'm looking for guests for at least 4 to 6 months in advance. So be focused on being a guest. Reach out to radioguestlist.com and you can sign up there also for free and get on their list for people who are looking for guests. Now, to focus on being a great guest, you'll be asked back. Being a great guest involves just a couple of things. First, being prepared. You need to know your topic. Anticipate the type of questions that you may ask or that you may be asked and have an answer ready. Now, let me give you a little tip on this. When you are responding to a radio show host and they ask you for your bio and other relevant information, include in your response to them a list of 10 questions that they can ask you. Believe me, sometimes radio show hosts have tons of information that they have to go through on a regular basis. And for the speaker, trainer, author, coach to provide some questions that they can ask, it will make a big difference. So be prepared. The second point is showing up, making sure that you show your host in a good light. Don't interrupt. Don't try to monopolize the conversation, and acknowledge their expertise and their great questions. And if you did what I just asked you to do a few moments ago, they'll be asking you the exact questions that you've given them. Real insight inside information as a radio talk show host. Believe me, send the questions. The third piece is be entertaining. Entertain your host audience. Nothing make a host more aware of you and happy with you and willing to invite you back than if you capture a huge audience for her or his show. And they get great feedback. And the final thing, when you are looking to make yourself available and be available for radio talk shows and podcasts, is to have fun. Nothing makes listeners or viewers enjoy an interview more than if you, the speaker, trainer, author, or coach, if you are having fun on the radio show or podcast. So getting great press coverage, it's much like increasing your own visibility and building your own relationships. Again, keep in mind that you will always be a popular guest or contributor anywhere in your industry. Getting press coverage you'll be entertaining audiences. You'll make your journalist, podcaster, blogger look good, and you'll keep helping them do a great job. If you just keep that in mind, you'll always be a good source or guest anywhere that you go. And you'll also find it to be an easy effort to get the press coverage that you want anytime that you need it. So that wraps up our time together with 6 ridiculously simple ways to get more press coverage. You build relationships with those in the press. Make use of agencies and organizations such as Harrow and PR Web. Make your plan. Send out your press releases and make sure you do it on a regular basis. Be available for interviews, either by journalists, by your radio show host, or podcasters. And then your bonus, number 6, rinse and repeat. It's really been a pleasure talking with you today about one of my favorite topics, which is how to get more press coverage for you and your business. And I have a free gift for those of you who are listening tonight. Our gift is to help you to get started on getting more press coverage. You can send an email to Anna@annabanks.com, and in the subject, put more press coverage gift. And we'll be sure to send it right out to you. So thanks again for joining us for 6 ridiculously simple ways to get more publicity for you and your business. Thanks again for joining us. This is Anna Banks. Bye-bye for now.